अरिहंत सिद्ध सुर उपाध्याय साधु सर्व अर्थ के प्रकाशी मांगलिक उपकारी है। तीन को स्वरूप जानी रागते भई जो भक्ति काय को नमाए स्तुति को उच्चारी है। धन्य धन्य तुम्ही से काज सब आज भयो कर जोरी बारंबार वंदना हमारी है। मंगल कल्याण सुख ऐसो हम चाहते ओ मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। ओ मेरी ऐसी दशा जैसी तुम धारी है। So today is our 20th lecture in this SEM, and last week we were covering this summary of homage to the Samay Sar. I send you a YouTube link for that stuti. You must have heard it. If you have not heard it, you must heard it. It's very nicely composed and music is also very decent. So we had completed the first three verses on the summary of homage to the Samay Sar Stuti, written by Pandit Himmat Bhai Shah from Songarh. And this is a great prayer on the great scripture Samay Sarji Granth. So we'll continue with that with the fourth verse. I'll just first read the Hindi one. Whom I can make a co-host to share the textbook?
So I can be the co-host.
Okay, thank you. I made you a co-host, okay? So, page number 55, okay? I'll first read the Hindi one with the correct tone and then we will see the English meaning. तूचे निश्चय ग्रंथ भंग सगला व्यवहार ना भेदवा तू प्रज्ञा चिणी ज्ञान ने उदयनी संधि सहु छेदवा साथी साधक नो तू भानु जगनो संदेश महावीर नो विसामो भव क्लांत नारदयनो तू पंथ मुक्ति तणो. So this whole prayer is written in English, in Gujarati. Now we'll see the English meaning. O Samay Sar. So Samay Sar means the text Samay Sar. You describe the element of this universe from their intrinsic aspect. Second last page, page 55. So intrinsic aspect means the real point of view. You describe the elements of this universe, okay, from the real point of view. As such, you discard all divisions from conventional point of view and distinguish between the self, that is the spiritual conscious nature, and karma actuated sinful inclinations, okay, that is called aupadik bhav. Spiritual conscious nature is our gyan bhav, and the karma actuated sinful inclination, okay, those are called aupadik bhav. So this scripture Samay Sar helps us or empowers us to distinguish between Gyan Bhav and Aupadik Bhav, between the spiritual conscious nature and karma actuated sinful inclinations or dispositions. You are a real companion of the travelers on the path of liberation. So this particular script, Samay Sarji, is a real companion, those who are spiritual seekers, those who wants to get into the path of liberation and ultimately get liberated. You are the son of this universe. Okay. So the one who destroys ignorance and illuminate us is the sun. You are the son of this universe and the real message of Lord Mahavir. So whatever Lord Mahavir said in his holy assembly through his divine sound, that has everything has been expressed in this particular text. So whoever reads that text and understands that text is bound to get into the path of liberation and get liberated very soon. Pujya Kanji Swami read many times on a personal level, but on a general level among the masses, he read this Samay Sarji Granth 19 times. And it took 1.5 years every time to complete this Granth, to complete this text, Samay Sarji text, which comprises of 415 verses and 217 kalash, or those are also verses. So it took 1.5 years almost to complete every time, and that too he did this 19 times. So now you can imagine we are such lucky to be born in such a phase where we have access to this kind of knowledge. Otherwise, maybe 200, 300 years ago, reading Samaysar and discussing Samaysar was only a privilege of the few, very few people. But now it has become very popular among the masses of all our mumukshus, and almost in every household you will find this Granth Samay Sarji. Being the cause of solace to the unhappy and suffering mass of humans and other living creatures of this worldly existence, you are yourself the path to liberation. So Samay Sarji text not only shows us the path of liberation, but it is itself the path of liberation, because those who read it and understand it will get into the path of liberation, and that is why it is called itself the path of liberation. Next verse. सुनिए तने रस निबंध शिथिल थाय, जानिए तने हृदय ज्ञानी तना जनाय, तू रुचता जगत नीरुचि आड़ से सो, तू रीजता सकल ज्ञायक देवरीजे. O Samaysar, after hearing your message, the shackles of bondage are slackened. है ना, संसार का रस ढीला होता है. So the shackles of bondage are slackened. It gets weaker. To know you is to know the heart of a sentient being. Sentient being here means Jnani, enlightened one. Okay. Desire to read and follow you kills the leaning toward sensual joys and other undesirable activities of this worldly life. Okay. So when you read this and get involved in this scripture, your sentiments, your dispositions, your bhav, sentiments, yeah. So that all whatever activities that you are undergoing in terms of sensual joys and other undesirable activities, that gradually gets reduced, because you are spending your quality time here, then automatically other things gets all it gets ignored automatically. So this is the way. You want to leave sensual joys, you will not be able to do. But if you yourself gets engaged into something very good, then those things automatically goes away. Because at the end of the day, whatever times we spend after sensual joys, there are no joys in that. Okay. And the quality of bliss, joy, and happiness lies in the soul. And you will get it only when you take shelter in your soul. So Samay Sir teaches us this unique technique how to get into our soul and enjoy these innumerable, infinite qualities. One who enjoys your blessings means one who reads this scripture and understands the scriptures achieves the all-pervasive omniscience. You will also become an omniscient, Kevli Bhagwan. Okay? And at that time, you will know everything in the universe, past, present, and future, all at one time. Okay? So this is the potential that we all carry. Each soul carries this potential. But who will be able to manifest? The one who studies the scriptures of Samay Sarji and other scriptures written by different acharyas and understand the meaning of those and put it in practice in their day-to-day life, they will be the one who will have a very happy life now, and in future they will destroy all the karmas and attain complete knowledge, omniscience. To sum up, the all-knowing soul enters the depth of our experience and shines brilliantly. So this text is going to help you in your endeavor to realize yourself, self-experience. Okay. The last one. Banau patra kundan na ratno na aksharo lakhi तथापि कुंद सूत्रो ना अंकाए मूल्य ना कदी. The writings of Kund Kund cannot be honored or valued. You know how valuable are those words? We cannot value it. Invaluable. Even if we prepare leaves of gold and write his preaching over them, write the whole Samaiskar's text over them with the words of gems, Ratna, okay, then also we will not be able to value this Samaisarji text. Okay, so that is the importance of Samaisarji text. Anyway, we have 4 papers on Samaisar in the 4th and 5th year, all put together, and we will be covering very deep this scripture over there. Okay, so you will have a very good time coming up. You can just see that we are just at the end of the first semester, and you can see the changes in yourself, in the changes in your perspective, and the changes in the way you approach to your day-to-day life problems. All this has changed, and it's going to change for the better. And the more you get deep into this, the more happy you will be. So this is doing our all-round development. Okay. So now we move on to the last last three. Okay, last 3 chapters are left. So first one we will be doing chapter number 8. No, sorry, 6. Chapter number 6, then 7, and then of course I think 9. 3 chapters are left. So first we will do lesson number 6. 12 conduct rules of a spiritually minded householder. Gyani Shravak ke 12 Vrat. Now, who is the spiritual minded householder? The one, so he is still a householder. So it could be male also and a female also. Okay. But they must attend the fifth stage of spiritual development. Fifth stage of spiritual development. That means they have get rid of two levels of passion. I just shared one clip about the four levels of passion. Okay. So the first one is right belief preventing passion. Okay. Causing infinite worldly existence. Now, this goes off in the fourth stage of spiritual development. When you realize yourself, when you attain right belief, this is the fourth stage, and the first level, the first quadruplet of passions goes off. The second one, partial woe preventing passion. So that goes off on the fifth stage of spiritual development. Okay. And that is where we call this spiritually minded householder. So that householder is now Sravak, actually Sravak. Although we say Sravak to the one who also goes to the temple, just goes to the temple. He never studies or do anything else. But even if he goes to a temple and if he's a householder, we call him as a Sravak. Okay. But the actual meaning of the Sravak is this fellow in the fifth stage of spiritual growth. Okay. So that is the second level of passion. The third level, complete woe preventing passion. This is attained in the seventh stage. Okay. When you become a monk, then only you can have this third level also going off. And the last level is the perfect conduct disturbing passion. That means when you attain the stage of fifth, or when you attain the 12th stage of spiritual development, that is the time all levels of passion goes off, and soon you become omniscience, and then you get liberated. So these are the four levels of passion. So the first one would be getting the right belief. Okay. So once you get the right belief, then the passion causing infinite worldly existence goes off. Okay. So the delusion and the passions causing infinite worldly existence, they go both off in the fourth stage of spiritual development. Okay. The next, now you know all the fourth level of passion. So the who is a spiritually minded householder? The one who has got rid of the first two levels. Okay. The first two levels of passion, that is the fifth stage of spiritual growth. The one who has attained the fifth stage of spiritual growth is a spiritual minded householder. Okay. And he has developed partial detachment, okay, or partial passionlessness, anshik vitrakta. Okay, so he has got partial vitrakta, and along with that partial vitrakta, the kind of auspicious sentiments that remains, and through that sentiments, this kind of uh, mindset develops that he wants to undergo this 12 conduct rules of a spiritual minded householder. Okay. So this is the outer discipline that a householder attains when he is in the fifth stage. Okay. Although we have see also that some of them have not attained the fifth stage, even they have not got samyak darshan also, but still they gets initiated into this kind of conduct. Okay. But that is not fruitful. Okay. So the ideal way would be first you develop, first you read the scriptures, understand the scripture, get the first level of passion going off in the and attend the fourth stage, and then with more practice of discriminative knowledge, you attend the fifth stage, and that is the time you follow this conduct or rule of 12 conduct rules of a spiritual minded householder. Okay. So you will see that in the path of liberation, everything comes gradually. Okay. So it is not that something you have to do something overnight. Your mental development is also of that level that you are inclined to undertake this kind of woes. Okay. So it is all very automatic. So there is no tension in the path of spiritual liberation, only enjoyment and enjoyment and enjoyment. Only the condition is that you understand these concepts. Okay. So once you understand these concepts, other things falls into place automatically, and there is no tension, depression, pressure at any point of time. Now you have a pressure to fulfill your role as a job, to fulfill your role as a student, Jia, understanding? Okay. And then you have this pressure of family. If you are married, you have this pressure of bringing up the kids. You have passion to keep up your in-laws. You have passion to keep up your spouse. So there are so many stresses going on in our life. But this particular thing, when you get into the spiritual stage, everywhere it is happiness, happiness, happiness. Even what we feel from outside a very complicated problem, but when we just comprehend it and try to solve it, it becomes so easy and enjoyable. The main part is that you convert the problems into opportunities and take those opportunities to go ahead in the next level of growth. Okay. So these hindrances will come in between, but it is for the betterment of us. It is for us to get ahead in the path of spiritual liberation. As you go from class 4 to 5, you give an exam, okay, final exam. And then if you are clearing that final exam, then you are promoted to the next class. Similarly, we have challenges in our life, okay, and those challenges are just an exam for us to apply the knowledge that we have acquired and be happy in that space. Okay. So you see how important is this studies, that this will keep you happy in all situations, whether there is a divorce, whether there is a breakup, whether there is some family member dying, whether there is a situation where you are incurring losses in business, where there is a situation where your relations are strained, everywhere this knowledge will be handy to you, and that will create a space for you where you will be able to enjoy those moments. Instead of repenting and suffering and experiencing grief, you will be experiencing happiness in those situations, and they will not be able to create an impact in your pursuit of this right knowledge. Okay. So such a uh, I cannot I cannot think of any other thing than this spiritual knowledge, okay, which is going to help us in all way. And the best part, that when you finish the life here in this birth and you go to the next birth, this knowledge comes with you. Everything else remains here. Even if you are a brilliant doctor in this birth, but next birth, that knowledge will not carry with you. That will die with this birth. If you are an engineer, that also will remain here. If you have wealth, that wealth is also going to remain here. What you are going to carry in the next birth is this knowledge that you acquire here. Okay. So be very serious, dedicated, sincere, punctual. I want all these qualities. You will never get a second chance to understand the scriptures. Now is the right time for you. And destiny also is in your side, that you are able to spend time after this. Okay. So this is your best opportunity, and you should grab it with both hands and make your life blissful. Okay. It is your life that is going to improve. If you don't do the course, Parmagam honors course is not going to lose anything, nor I am going to lose anything. Okay. It's your loss. So, and there is one rule in ethics, whatever you do, you should do wholeheartedly, right? So you should be very punctual before the class starts. 5 minutes before you should be in the class. As in college, school, what you do? You are ready in the class, then the teacher comes, right? So you should follow this discipline. If you ignore these things and if you don't give importance to this, it is your loss. I'll be absolutely on time every time, and I just wait for you to join. Okay. So these are some of the small things. I did not say these things, but somehow I felt that people are not aware how important is this course is and what is going to, uh, how your character is going to shape up with this knowledge, So this 12 conducts. So there we will be studying today this 12 conduct rules, and let's begin the chapter straight away. A lot of things I have said on as an introduction. Um, so straightway we are starting this chapter. And Gia, you read from the screen or you have the textbook with you?
Yeah, I'll read from the screen.
Pardon?
I'll read from the screen.
Okay.
Uh, One who has real rightfully to the sentient being in the absence of the first stages of passion.
Bit louder, bit louder.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, is it loud now?
Yeah, fine.
One who has real right belief is a sentient being. In the absence of the first two stages of passion, which lead to infinite birth, a sentient being develops partial spiritual purity. He is called a spiritually minded householder. The spiritual purity that has been developed is called real abstinence, and in the presence of such purity, tendency to renounce five sins and observe five partial abstinences like non-violence are called external conduct rules. Such feelings of merit automatically appear in a sentient being. Such abstinences are of 12 kinds. Partial abstinences from the five sins, including violence, is called five rules of conduct of the lower stage. The second classification of three abstinences are just to safeguard the five rules of conduct of the lower stages and to develop them. The four training conduct rules are just a practice of the high observances of the state of monkhood. Five conduct rules of the lower stage. 1. Partial abstinence from violence. To denounce the feeling of violence in a broad way is partial abstinence from violence. Before understanding this, it is necessary to understand violence. The loss of the purity of the activity of the soul with the rise of feelings of passion, is psychic violence, and the loss of our own material vitalities and those of others due to feelings of passion is material violence. In his uh,
Stop. So let me explain the introduction. Um, so one who has the right belief means which stage he is in?
Stage 4.
Yes, very good. So he has attained the fourth stage, okay? In the absence of the first two stages of passion, stages means here levels, okay? So in the first, when he got the right belief in the fourth stage, he got rid of the first level of passion, okay? When he reached the when he reached the fifth stage, okay, he got rid of two stages of passion, two levels of passion, which lead to infinite births, okay. A sentient being develops partial spiritual purity, okay. So in the fourth stage, there is no sanyam, okay. So he's just got the right belief, but the conduct is yet to follow, okay. But when he comes onto the fifth stage, he gets partial spiritual purity, okay. So that the level of purity has gone up from the fourth stage, okay. And the level of passions has gone down. So first it was only first level has gone. In the fifth, the second level has also gone. So now he is in a better position and he's enjoying more than the fourth stage. Okay. He is called a spiritually minded householder. So the first task, uh, the first responsibility is to get into the fifth stage. Okay. And then your vows would all be correct. Okay. You will be, that will be fruitful, not correct, but it will be fruitful. Okay. So now this householder who is into the fifth stage, okay, and who has developed the spiritual purity, that particular development is called real abstinence. The level of detachment that he has attained, that is called real abstinence. And in the presence of such purity, tendency to renounce the five sins, okay, not completely, but partially, okay, partial renouncement, okay, tendency to renounce five sins and observe five partial abstinence, okay. So what are the five sins? Jia, you know five sins?
Low, Maya, Mo. Is that the
No,
one?
no. Panch pap. Which are the panch pap?
Low, Mo, Maya.
No, these are passions. Okay.
हिंसा झूठ चोरी खुशी
Mo is delusion, and the five sins are hinsa,
हिंसा कुशील
hinsa, jhoot, chori, kushil, and parik.
परिग्रह
So, violence, okay. Violence, falsehood, theft, unchastity, and the last, parigra, that is possessions. Okay. So these are the five sins. Your wealth is increasing. Who will say that you are indulging in sins? Your parigra is increasing, right? So your sins are increasing. But we all feel happy that my wealth is increasing. Last year, my net worth was so much. Now this year, I have progressed so much. But here the Acharya says that your passion, your sins have increased. Okay. So the partial renouncement of these five sins and observance of five partial abstinences, anuvrat, okay. It is called anuvrat because it is partial abstinence. But if it is complete abstinence, then it is called mahavrat. So mahavrat, mahavrat, like the complete renunciation happens in the stage of a spiritual monk, okay? But as a householder, you can still have partial abstinence, okay? Like non-violence are called external conduct rules, okay? So non-violence, truth, then not doing theft, then chastity, and the last is non-possession, right? So these are the five qualities that has developed just because you have renounced the five sins partially. So you have renounced partially, so this conduct is also developed partially. So very clear-cut equation. Such feelings of merit automatically appear in a sentient being, okay? Such feelings of merit. So by merit there, they mean the Shubh bhav, okay? Auspicious sentiment. Such feelings of auspicious sentiment automatically appear. So we feel that we have to do so much this. हमें मुन्नी बना पड़ने का, I have to renounce these, that. But there is nothing like that. It is just your pure bliss that is going to bring all these sentiments, you know. When you attend that levels, automatically this kind of sentiments appears, okay? Go to back to that page again. Yeah. Such abstinence are of 12 kinds. Pardon? Anything? Anybody's
So,
asking?
which is the fifth sin? Violence, possession, theft, unchastity.
You go in a sequence. The first one is hinsa, violence. Then jhoot, falsehood. Then chori, theft. Then kushil, unchastity. Then parigra. Okay? Parigra is possession. Okay. So these are the five, and in a way, all five are included in violence because in every activity, violence is always there. Okay. So that are all part of violence only. So such abstinence, okay, are of 12 kinds. Okay. Partial abstinence from the 5 sins, including violence, is called 5 rules of conduct of the lower stage. Okay. It is also called 5 main woes of limited nature. Anuvrat hai na? Anuvrat. So it is called limited nature. 5 main woes of limited nature. Then second classification of 3 attributes, abstinences, Gunuvrat, it is called Gunuvrat, are just to safeguard the 5 rules of conduct of the lower stage and to develop them. So these are called 3 Gunuvrat. Okay, the Gunuvrat means truthfulness, limited woe. Not truthfulness, limited woe, but 1 minute. So these are the 3, 1 minute. These are the 3 attribute abstinences. Okay, is called Gunuvrat. These are 3 are for the safeguard of the 5 rules of conduct that you undertook in the lower stage and to develop them further. And the last 4 one are just a practice of getting into the monkhood. Shikshavrat. Okay. The 4 training conduct rules are just a practice of the higher observations of the state of monkhood. Okay. The 4 training woes. Okay. So the first one is 5 main woes of limited nature or 5 conduct rules of the lower stage. The second one is 3 merit woes or observances to safeguard the 5 conduct rules. And the third one is training observances or the 4 training woes. Okay. So this both kind of names are there in the scriptures. Now moving on to the 5 conduct rules of the lower stage. The first one is the partial abstinence from violence. So first sin is violence and partial abstinence of violence is the first of the 5 main woes of limited nature. To renounce the feeling of violence, very important, to renounce the feelings of violence. Now what is this violence? Violence is the kind of sentiments that you manifest in your modification, like delusion, attachments, and aversions. Okay, these are the violence. We studied in Ahimsa chapter, okay, non-violence, about this to Purusharth Siddhi Upay, that any kind of sentiments, whether it is attachments or aversions, is a violence to the soul. Okay. So our endeavor should be not to manifest attachments nor aversions. So that will lead automatically you to passionlessness or detachment. Okay. So to renounce the feeling of violence in a broad way is partial abstinence from violence. Before understanding, it is necessary to understand violence. Okay. The loss of the purity of the activity of the soul and with the rise of feeling of passion is psychic violence, bhavinsha. So we will be seeing at all the 12 conduct rules through 2 angles, 2 viewpoints. First would be the real point of view, Nischay, and the second would be the conventional point of view or the Vyavhar. So now first we will discuss always the real point of view. What is from the real point of view, the partial abstinence from violence. Okay. The loss of purity. Okay. That is the real point of view, partial abstinence from violence. The loss of purity of the activity of the soul with the rise of feeling of passion is psychic violence, bhavinsa, and the loss of our own material vitalities, Jivan Shakti, and those of others due to feelings of passion is material violence. Okay. So up to this we had read. Now we will start from here in his Purshat Shri Upay. From there, Somya, you read.
In his Purusharth Siddhi Upay, Acharya Amrit Chandra has written, rise of imperfections like attachment in the soul is violence and their absence is non-violence. If somebody acts carefully, without any feeling of attachment and aversion, and even then some living creature is killed, that is not violence. As against this, if somebody entertains passion in his inner self and is also careless in his external activities, he is guilty of violence, even if no living creature is killed or injured due to his activities and movements. To sum up, determination of violence and non-violence does not depend upon death or perseveration of life of any being, but upon the presence or absence of the feelings of attachments and aversions. Violence is of four kinds. Violence with determination, second, business violence, third, violence in household activities, and fourth, contentious violence. When feelings of cruelty only lead to determined violence of living beings, that is violence with determination. Violence in activities like trade and commerce and those in the household of other activities, in spite of the care to avoid it, are called business violence and violence in household activities. Violence caused unwillingly with a view to protect our family and religious places is contentious violence. Spiritually minded householders renounces violence with determination completely. Feelings, feelings of such violence do not arise in him. He also tries to keep himself away from other three types of violence as far as possible. This observance is called partial abstinence from violence.
Stop. So you see the first one, partial abstinence from violence, or we can say non-violence limited woes. Okay. So because these are five main woes of limited nature, so this is non-violence limited woe, ahimsa anuvrat. Okay. So Acharya Amrit Chandra Dev has written that rise of imperfections like attachments and aversions. Aversion is not written, but it is there. Ragadi. So rag, etc. etc. means aversions also are included in that. All kinds of attachments and aversions. So the rise of those imperfections like attachments and aversions in the soul is violence. So this is the best definition of violence. Generally people believe violence that we discussed in the chapter Ahimsa. So I'm not going very deep into it. You are already aware of that. Okay. That killing somebody, imprinting pain on somebody, that is violence. But who will say that this is also a violence when you uh, uh, manifest a feeling of attachment and aversions in your modification? So that is also violence. And their absence is non-violence. So violence and non-violence is in ourselves only. It is not something happening outside. Okay. So this is something that we have to control, and we can control by understanding the proper nature of things. Okay. So if you understand how the nature of things are uh, moving or are performing, then you will understand that there is no scope of any kind of violence. We do violence just because of our ignorance. Okay. So that if that ignorance goes off, by reading the scriptures, by understanding the scriptures, by coming at a conclusion of what you read in the scriptures, you are able to manifest right belief. And when you have the right belief, automatically the first level of violence goes off. Okay. So now, if somebody acts carefully without any feelings of attachment, this is very important, without any feelings of attachments and aversion. Okay. So if somebody acts carefully, carefully again is a good word. So he is taking care, or he is practicing what you call. I'm not getting the right
So
word.
living very consciously.
That is the meaning, but there is a good word for that. One who forget. It will come to mind again. Somebody,
Without negligence. Pramad means negligence.
Pramad means negligence, but I was thinking of one another good word. So if somebody acts carefully without any feeling of attachment, so without any feeling of attachment means without negligence. Okay. So carefully is again without negligence only. If somebody acts carefully without any feeling of attachment and aversion, and even then, oh, I was getting that word has come to my mind. Somebody who is practicing due diligence. Okay. What you are supposed to do, if you practice that due diligence, then that means you are acting carefully. Okay. If somebody acts carefully without any feeling of attachment and aversion, and even then some living creature is killed. Okay. So you are absolutely aware and you are taking utmost care. But even then, if some living creature is killed, that is not violence on your part. You have practically killed that insect, but still the scripture says that you have not done the violence. Why? Because first thing, you are without any feeling of attachment and aversion. The second is you have taken utmost care, due diligence. Okay. You have complied with the rules. Okay. So this is the deeper meaning of violence, that the animal, the creature has been killed, and still it is not a violence because you have practiced due diligence. Okay. And there is no feeling of attachment and aversion. As against this, if somebody entertains passions in his inner self, okay, that means he is already manifesting the passions, and is also careless, negligent, okay, in his external activities, he is guilty of violence, even if no living creature is killed. Now you are able to understand this. I think you have understood this because we discussed this in very detail in that chapter of Ahimsa. Okay. So you are aware of this. So the main point is that careful, careless, without any feeling of attachment, and with feeling of attachment. That is the difference. So as against this, if somebody entertains passion and is also careless, then he is guilty of violence, even if not a creature is being killed. Okay. Now this calculation is only available in Jainism. No other religion is able to comprehend this concept. And Acharya Amritchandra Dev in his scripture, Pursat Siddhi Upay, has done a detailed description and discussion on this. And we are going to cover this in the 4th and 5th Sem, this particular text, Pursat Siddhi Upay, in totality. Okay. So, but still, this thing has come for discussion. We are discussing this. Okay. So, killing a creature or not killing a creature is immaterial to violence. Only what are your sentiments? Okay. Whether you are careful, whether you are practicing due diligence, whether you are having feeling of passions or not. That is very important. Okay. So if you are with passions and if you are careless, then anyway you are indulging in violence, even if you are not killing any animals. And if you are killing animals, but you are careful and without feeling of attachments and aversions, then you are practicing non-violence. Okay. So you need to go little bit deeper to understand and comprehend this concept. Even if no living creature is killed or injured due to his activities and movement. Okay. To sum up, determination of violence and non-violence does not depend upon death or preservation of life of any being, but upon the presence or absence of the feelings of attachments and aversions. Understood, everyone? Or you have any questions regarding this? Then you go and please read this chapter of Ahimsa again. I think it was in, I'll just let you know which chapter. Ahimsa, Vitrag, Vigyan. Right? Seventh chapter. Seventh chapter of Vitrag Vigyan 2. Okay. Seventh chapter of Vitrag Vigyan 2. Ahimsa. We studied in detail. So you can refer to that chapter also to have a better understanding of this. So presence and absence of passions is the chief cause of violence. Okay. So this violence is again of four kinds. Violence with determination, that is also called intentional violence, sankalpi hinsa. Okay. The next is business violence, or it is also called industrial violence, udyogi hinsa. Okay. Violence related to the businesses that we do. Now you can ask how we do violence in business. Supposing you are a construction industry and you are constructing the building and you are digging up the land, okay? And land is which living being? Prithvikai, one sensed being, okay? Earth is again a living being. So when you dig up, you are creating a violence. So these are some of the business violence, okay? The third one is violence is household activities. It is also called domestic violence, Arambi Hinsa, Arambi Hinsa. So when you cook your food, you light up the gas, right? So that is again fire. Fire is again a one-sensed being. So there is a violence, okay? So that is violence, but these are some of the violence that you cannot avoid as an householder, okay? That we'll discuss in detail. The fourth one is the contentious violence or defensive violence, Virodhi Hinsa. Okay. So now what are the definition of each of these violence that we will see? When feelings of cruelty only lead to determined violence of living beings, that is violence with determination. So you are doing something intentionally. Okay. So that is called the first one, violence with determination. Okay. Second one, Audyogi Hinsa or violence in activities like trade and commerce. That is called the second one, the business violence. The third one is the violence in household activities like cooking and everything. That is domestic violence, and that is that you do in the household or other activities in spite of the care to avoid it. You try to avoid it. We are all Jains, so we take utmost care that not a single one sense being is being killed unnecessarily. Okay. So these are some of the violence that we do at home in spite of taking care to avoid it, but there are something that we which cannot avoid, right? Like eating vegetables. So vegetables are also one sensed being, okay? Fruits are also living beings, okay? So these are some of the violence that we cannot avoid at a householder level. But if you go and become a monk, then you are able to avoid this kind of violence also, okay? So there will always be a difference between the practicing of non-violence between a householder and a monk. Okay, monk will be doing it at a higher degree, but as a householder, we will be doing it, but at a lower level. Okay.
Is pest control domestic violence?
Yes, yes, absolutely, but domestic violence. So if you don't do pest control, there will be more violence, you know.
Yes,
To
yes.
avoid more violence, we indulge in slight violence. So
Slight violence. Yes.
this is some compromises that we do at a householder level. But if you become a monk, you will be completely renouncing all kinds of sins. Okay. The fourth one, contemptuous violence or defensive violence. Violence caused unwillingly, not willingly, but unwillingly, with a view to protect our family and religious places. Okay, is contemptuous violence or defensive violence, virodhi hinsa. Okay, to protect our religious places. If somebody is coming and destroying our temples, then we are at liberty to resist that attack. And even in that attack, even in that fight, if you are killing somebody, okay, then also it is not a violence, because your motive is not to kill him. Your motive is to protect your religious places. Okay. So it is all depending on the intent. If your intent is good, then it is non-violence. If your intent is not good, even if you are not committing violence, any physical violence, still it is a violence. Okay. So it is all everything in the mind. Okay. Mindset. So as a householder, what should be your mindset? That is all being explained here. So spiritually minded householder, the one who is in the fifth stage, Jnani Sravak, renounces violence with determination completely. Sankalpa Hinsa. He has never intention to kill anybody, even a small one sense being also. Okay. So he renounces violence with determination completely. संकल्प हिंसा एकदम नहीं करते हैं श्रावक. The second one, not the second one, still we are explaining the first one. Feelings of such violence do not arise in him. He also tries to keep himself away. Okay. He also tries from other three types of violence as far as possible. Okay. It is not that he has got a license to do other three types of violence. It is not like that. He tries to keep away from other three types of violence as far as possible. But if the other people doesn't understand or doesn't listen to your instructions, then you are at liberty, like protecting the religious place or protecting your family. You can do a violence of that nature, and that would be defensive violence. Okay. This observance is called partial abstinence from violence. Okay. So this is the first one, non-violence of limited woe, ahimsa anuvrat. Now the second one, satya anuvrat, truthfulness limited woe, or partial observance of truth. Now the next one, Soumya.
Sir, partial observance of truth. To tell lies with recklessness is untruth. Partial abstinence from telling lies is partial observance of truth. Untruth is of four kinds. First, perversion of truth. Second, propounding untruth. Third, telling otherwise. Fourth, harsh and cruel speech. First, saying that things in existence do not exist is perversion of truth. Second, saying that things that have no existence do exist is propounding untruth. Third, describing things as against their intrinsic nature, that example, to say that there is merit in violence. Fourth, to utter scandalous, contentious, painful words and words opposed to the scriptures and those leading to violence and conflicts is the use of harsh and cruel speech.
Stop. So this much only. So now you are able to comprehend the concept of violence, how it is happening and how it is happening all the time, and still we are not aware of it. That is the big tragedy, you know. So this particular chapter and the one that we studied in Ahimsa, Vitrag Vigyan 2, chapter 7, both are very helpful in understanding this violence. Okay. So partial observation of truth, observance of truth, okay, or truthfulness, limited woe. Why it is limited woe? Because it is anuvrat, okay. If it would be a mahavrat, it would be a complete woe or unlimited woe, okay. To tell lies with recklessness, again pramad, negligence, okay. Recklessness means negligence, pramad. To tell lies with pramad. Pramad is again a type of passion. Okay. Pramad is included in passion. To tell lies with recklessness. So the person who is a recklessness is itself manifesting passions. Okay. To tell lies with recklessness is untruth. Untruth is again a violence. Partial abstinence from telling lies is partial observance of truth. Untruth is of four kinds: perversion of truth, propounding untruth, telling otherwise, harsh and cruel speech. The first one, perversion of truth. In Hindi we called sat ka aplap. Okay. To say that things which is in existence and to say that it does not exist is the first kind, perversion of truth. Okay. So there is something existing. Okay. There is something that you have. And somebody asks for that and you say, I don't have it. This is a first kind of perversion of truth. So this is the first kind of untruth. Okay. Perversion of truth. The second one, propounding untruth. Saying that things that have no existence do exist is propounding untruth. So the second one is the opposite of the first one. In the first one, the thing was existing and he is saying that it is not existing. And in the second one, the things that do not exist and you say that it is existing, that is called propounding untruth. Asatka udbhavan. Okay. So somebody asks you that you have money, I want a loan of 5,000. No, yeah. So then you said I don't have money, but in actuality you are having 1,00,000 rupees with you, but you say you don't have it. So this kind of untruth is called propounding untruth. The third one, telling otherwise. Telling otherwise means opposite to what it is. Describing things as against their intrinsic nature. Example, to say that there is merit in violence. Okay. So how can there be a merit in violence? Okay. There is, if it is a violence, then it is a sin, and a sin cannot be a merit. It is a demerit. Okay. So if you say opposite things, then it is called the telling otherwise kind of untruth. Okay. Describing things as against their intrinsic nature, to say that there is merit in violence. Okay. That is to say violence is a virtue. Now the fourth one, very interesting, harsh and cruel speech. Okay. Sometimes we unnecessarily say these kind of words which hurts the other person, you know. So that is a violence on our part. Okay. To utter scandalous, contentious, okay, painful words and words opposite to the scriptures. Okay. And those leading to violence and conflicts is the use of harsh and cruel speech. In Hindi, we call it as garhit vachan. Okay. So we should always talk hit, meet, priya vachan. Okay. pleasing words. Okay. You can express the same thing in a better way. Okay. Without uttering harsh, painful words or the words which are opposite to the scriptures. So we should take care what we are taking, because our all activities of mind, speech and body is the source of the karmas entering in us. Okay. Asrav bandh, influx and bondage are caused because of our activities of mind, speech and body. And here we are talking about the speech. So there is violence through mind also. You are not killing somebody, but you are making a plan of killing somebody, then again it is a violence at the mind level. Now this particular thing is the violence at the speech level. Okay. Giving, abusing, hurt, using painful words, these are all violence at the speech level. And then if you are doing a physical violence, it's the violence at the body level. So these are the first two limited woes. Okay. The first one was non-violence limited woe. Second one is truthfulness limited woe. The third one is partial abstinence from stealing or non-stealing limited woes. Acharya Anuvrat. So 3, 4 and 5 we will do together. And Malti ji, you read it.
I'll just take from my book.
It's in the screen also.
Partial abstinence from stealing. That's where you want to start, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. To take anything that entails giving and taking in the worldly sense without the permission of its master through recklessness is stealing. To abjure stealing is abstinence. Though a renouncer of theft, the householder draws water from a tank or a river and earth from mines without any asking, he is a partial observer of non-stealing. Partial abstinence from indulging in sex. Complete abstinence from sex is celibacy. A householder unable to observe complete celibacy remains satisfied with his own wife and altogether renounces indulgence in other women. This observance, being partial, is called partial abstinence from indulging in sex. Limitation of worldly possessions. Accumulativeness is a desire for possession of non-self entities. It is of two kinds, external and internal. Internal accumulativeness comprises of 14 stickings like wrong faith, anger, pride, deceit, greed, and 9 mild passions. External possessions are land, house, gold, silver, grain, wealth, servants, utensils, etc. Out of the above, the householder renounces wrong faith altogether. He renounces others partially because he has stints of passion left in him. He imposes a limit to all external possessions. This is called limitation of worldly possessions.
Stop.
Observance to safeguard the 5 conduct rules.
Stop. So let's finish this 3-1. First 3, last 3, I mean, among the 5 limited woes. Okay. 5 main woes of limited nature. So we have already covered 2. The third one is partial abstinence from stealing. To take anything that entails giving and taking in the worldly sense without the permission of its master through recklessness is stealing. So in the schools, you must remember, everyone must have gone through this experience that you have given say rubber to your friend. Okay. And now you require that rubber. So you go there, he was not there on the seat, and you took that rubber. It's yours only, but you took that rubber and you came back and you did your job, and then you got busy in your work. And that your friend of your, he came back and he saw that rubber is missing, and he got worried that, oh, I borrowed this from my friend, and what would I will tell him? He's searching here and there. So you have become an instrumental cause for that violence. So that is a violence in you. So even if it's your rubber, your eraser, you must tell him that I have taken it back. Okay. Because I required it. So this is the level of violence that we need to understand. Okay. So without the permission of its master through recklessness, again recklessness is pramad, negligence is stealing. To abjure or renounce, stealing is abstinence. Though a renouncer of theft, the householder draws water from a tank or a river and earth from mines without any asking. 1 minute. So this is a tank. Tank here means well. Okay. I was just wondering why it is written as tank, but in Hindi I saw it is kua. Kua means well. Okay. So even if you are drawing water from a well, the monks doesn't draw water from a well, but a householder does this kind of activities, and that is a part of the limited vows. Okay. Though a renouncer of theft, the householder draws water from a well or a river. So this is all free fall. Okay. And earth from mines without any asking. Okay. So mines is what? Mitti, mud from the mines. Without any asking, he is partial observer of non-stealing. We will not call him a theft, okay? Because he is a partial observer of non-stealing. So these are all some of the accepted stealing that we do. Although morally we should ask the owner if there is an owner, or if it's a government organized, then I think ethically there is nothing wrong. But if it is some personal people's land or personal people's well or river belonging to somebody privately, then you should take a permission ethically. But as an householder, these are some of the accepted norms that you practice, and that is coming under this partial abstinence from stealing. Now the fourth one.
Sir,
Huh?
sorry. Sir, he's a partial observer of stealing, no, sir.
Yeah, a partial abstinence means he cannot completely renounce theft. Okay. So these are some of the thefts in his life, like taking water from a well or a river, or picking up mud from the mines. Because in previous days, there used to be no municipality or corporation that is supplying water to us right now. So people used to go and fetch water from the well. Every villages always would have a well, and there is no dearth of water there. You keep on pulling water out, and it never gets completely absence of water in the well. Okay. So it is all free fall. So people also don't mind, even if it's a personal well, people do allow others also to take up water.
So, sir, you're supposed to ask, right, before you do
Yeah,
all this.
logically or ethically, you should ask, but these are some of the accepted thefts as a householder. Okay. It's
Sir, the
still,
water is never going to reply to you. Or the earth is never going to. Sir, the water is never going to reply to you, right?
I didn't get your question.
Sir, the water is never going to reply, or the earth is not going to say, okay, you mine more earth or something. But you're supposed to ask, is it?
The owner of that well.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I got
Owner
it,
of
yes,
that
sir.
well. So water will not say you anything, but the owner, if it's a private well, but if it's a government well or a general well, then there is nothing to be asked. But so these kind of activities are there as a householder, and that is why it is called partial abstinence from stealing. Now, if you compare this with a monk, okay, if a monk comes to your village, he will never take water out of the well. Only the householder, Shravaks, if they offer them water when he is taking his meal, and that also with all the uh, rules and regulations that has to be followed, and if you are giving it, then they will take. Otherwise, they will not ask for it. Okay. So that is
So,
the monk. But as a householder, we are permitted to do this kind of activities. That is why it is called partial abstinence. You cannot do complete abstinence now at this stage because that level of passion is still there. Okay. So all our activities of mind, speech, and body are in correspondence to the level of passions that we have eliminated. Okay. If you have not eliminated any level, your passionless activity would be of that nature. If you eliminate first level, then your passion, your activities of mind, speech, and body will be in according to that level only. Okay. So it is nimit nemitik sambandh, instrumental cause. Okay. So if you are in this stage, you will do this. Now the fourth one, partial abstinence from indulging sex.
Excuse me, sir.
Madhuji.
Yes, sir. As Himali was telling, the third one, last line, he without any asking, he is a partial observer of non-stealing. So the wordings actually, as Himali said, is even I feel the same. It should be he is a partial observer of stealing. I think that non is not correct over here.
No. Actually, the woe that the name of the woe is partial abstinence from stealing. Okay.
Right.
So he is a
Yes.
partial observer, no? He is a partial
Yes.
observer of non-stealing. Okay. So it is in that sense.
Okay.
So
Okay.
good word would be non-stealing limited woes. Okay. So non-stealing limited woes, you are not doing completely. You are still doing some
Okay.
activities which falls under the stealing, but that is
Okay.
permissible level. That is the permissible level. Okay. Now, if
Okay.
you understand the fourth one,
Yeah,
that,
I understood, sir, now.
that
Yeah.
is also on similar lines. Complete abstinence from sex is celibacy. Okay. So who is abstaining completely from sex? The monk. Okay. But as a householder, you are into the family, you have your spouse with you, and the tradition of this is going to go on if you have offsprings, children, right? So that's why you get married. Okay. So in earlier times, the family used to be very large, and people used to have their own agriculture business, and they want more family members. So in 2 generations back, if you see, like, we are 4 brothers and sisters, but our father, they were 7 brothers and sisters. My mother, they were 8 brothers and sisters. And some of must have heard that there are 11 brothers and sisters. Why there was such a large family? Because everyone would help in that family business, and that was the idea. Everyone will support one another. Now we have nucleus family, 1 or 2 kids only, and if he gets into depression, who will help him if there is no family? So the earlier lifestyle and now lifestyle has changed, but this was this is written some 1000 years back, all these wars and all. So that was the situation at that point of time. So a householder unable to observe complete celibacy. So he's a householder, he is married, he is having his spouse and all. So he cannot observe complete celibacy. But one thing is that he remains satisfied with his own wife and altogether renounces indulgence in other women. Like nowadays, the affairs and all, dating affairs, and there are apps that have come up, So the moral standard is coming down day by day. Okay. And people feel that this is all very normal, But here it says that even if you are looking at with a bad intention, then also you are creating a violence. Okay. So to remain satisfied with his own spouse, here it is written wife, but you can take it both ways, own spouse, and altogether renounces indulgence in other man or woman, both. This observation being partial is called partial abstinence from indulging in sex. Okay. So this is called chastity limited vows. Okay. Now the fifth one, limitation of worldly possessions, parigraha. So there are 24 types of possessions, okay, 14 internal and 10 external. So internal are wrong faith, anger, pride, deceit, greed, and 9 quasi passions or mild passions. Okay, hasya, laughter, rati, like, arati, dislike, hasya, rati, arati, shok, fear, bhai. So bhai is fear. Shok would be again grief. Shok, bhai, jugupsa. Jugupsa is disgusting. Okay. Then Stri Ved, Purush Ved, and Napunsak Ved. So indulging in sex, male sex, female sex, and the neutral one, the eunuchs and what do you call transgender. Okay. So these are all mild passions, 9 types. All these are internal possessions. Okay. Internal accumulativeness. Okay. The first one is wrong faith. So first wrong faith should go. Okay. And that is the biggest sin. Delusion is the biggest sin. So if that wrong faith goes off, you have done I would say, you have eliminated 90% of violence. Because of delusion, you are indulging in all sorts of violence activity. So the delusion goes off, the main violence goes off. Now, still there is violence, but of a very limited nature. So accumulativeness is a desire for possession of non-self entity. So desire is the possession, okay? It is not the physical thing that you are having, but the desire to have those. That means again here we are looking at psychic violence, okay? So 14 is the internal possessions and 10 external possessions like land, house, gold, silver, grain, wealth, servants, utensils. So there are 10 in all. Okay. Out of the above, what the householder can do? The householder renounces wrong faith altogether. Okay. Because he is an enlightened soul, wise soul. So he has completely renounced the wrong faith. Okay. It will not be completely, not would be a correct word, but the wrong faith is not there. That is true. Out of the above, the householder renounces wrong faith altogether. He renounces others partially because he has tints of passion. Okay. Tints of passion left in him. So he is not able to renounce others, but partially he is doing it. He imposes a limit to all external possessions, that I will have so much of land, so much of money, so much of gold. So he puts a limit to everything and he sees that he doesn't go beyond that limit. So this is because of the awareness that has come because of the second level of passions going off. So when the second level goes off, automatically these kinds of sentiments rise in the soul that he should have limited external possession. The more possession you have, the more sinful you are. Okay. So to reduce that level of sin, he limits all the external possession. This is called limitation of worldly possessions or non-possession limited woe. Parigrah pariman vrat. He has put a cap to everything. Okay. The next one, 3 merit woes. Okay. To safeguard these 5 conduct rules that you have undertaken, there are 3 merit woes which helps in observing these 5 conduct rules. Okay. So what are the 3 merit woes?
So, sorry.
Ah.
So, in this external possession, there are only 8 mentioned over here. So,
So,
it would mean
no, there are 10 in all. I will tell you. Land, house, gold, silver,
Grain wealth, so
Cloth is also there as a possession. It is not written here, cloth. Then grain, wealth, servants, utensils, cloth, and one more thing.
Can't it be land also? People have this.
No, the eating items. Dhanya. Dhanya means like cereals and grains. Grains is written, I think.
Yes, sir.
grains is there.
Grain is already there. Okay.
Yes.
One more I'm missing.
Sir, Dvipa Chatushpad.
Those come, yeah. So those
What
are
is that?
animals that we domesticate, we keep for our
Pets.
pets. Yeah.
Oh.
Like if you have a field and you need those not elephant, but buffalo and
Bulls and
cow,
Ox.
ox and all. Then for milk also you need cow. So these are they used to keep at home, and there was a big family, joint family. So everyone's responsibility was divided, and this is how they used to live. So he renounces other passages. So this is the limited vows. Okay. Now this 3 merit vows. These are to safeguard the 5 conduct rules. First one is direct abstinence. It is called Digvrat. Okay. So the householder having softness of passions imposes limitation on his movements in all the 10 directions on the basis of famous landmarks. Okay. It is written here places, but landmarks. Like you say, then on the east, I will not go beyond Kolkata. In the north, I will not go beyond Delhi. In the south, I will not go beyond Tamil Nadu. Okay. In the west, I will not go beyond Ahmedabad, like that. So these are the 4 directions. Then there are 4 diagonal directions, like northeast, southwest, like that. Okay. So 4 plus 4, 8. Then the height, some of the householders doesn't fly by air because they have made a limitations in terms of height. So they cannot go beyond that height. Okay. So if you want to travel by plane, then you should not take this kind of limited merit vows. Okay. The vows of limited area of activity in all directions. So directions, 8 directions plus setting a limit of going how much altitude you will go, not go beyond. Okay. And then going down also. Okay. There also there is a limit set. So that means he will be confining himself within these boundaries. And that is the lifetime. It is not only for a particular period. It is lifetime observance. Okay. So before taking this kind of vows, you must analyze everything, and then only you should take vows. Once you take the vows, you should not break it. Okay. So you should take this in mind. So this is direction abstinence. The second one is regional abstinence. The vows of limited duration of activity. What is the difference between the first and second? In the first one, we have taken vows for lifetime, and this is for limited duration. Okay. The broad limitation of direction abstinence are further minimized to movements during particular hours, days, weeks, and months. This is regional abstinence. So you have already set a direction limit. Now within the direction, you set further limit with the duration that I will not go out for the next 5 hours, for next 7 days, so much of weeks, months, like that. Okay. This is called regional abstinence. Now the third one, avoidance of unnecessary sins. Anartha dan tyag vrat. Okay. So you meet your friends in society, and then what you discuss? You discuss India-Pakistan match, Then you discuss the politics, Modi is doing that and that. So these are all unnecessary scenes. You have nothing to do. Whether India wins or Pakistan wins, nothing is going to happen in your life, But still you talk endlessly on, debate on endlessly on this topic, that he should have done this, he should have done that. Then there is a very hot discussion on stock market nowadays, The Sensex is going up, then they will advise, you take this one, you take that one. Now these are all violence. Nobody understands this. So avoidance of unnecessary sins. Anarth dand tyag vrat. There are 5 kinds of this. I think it's given here or not, I don't know. But it's given in Purusharth Siddhi Upay. So let's read this one. Purposeless. No purpose. If India wins or Pakistan wins, you are not going to be benefited in any way. So these are all purposeless indulgence and inclinations towards violence and other demerits is indulgence in unnecessary demerits. The householder observing these rules of conduct does not, without any purpose, dig earth. Without any purpose, dig earth. Throw water, burn fire, move air, crush vegetables. You must have seen kids. They will go into the garden and pluck flowers, unnecessarily. They will pluck leaves. So these are all one sense being. If you pluck a leaf from a tree, you are causing a violence to that person. And that is, again, you are creating a bondage with that activity. So it's an internal violence. Okay. So dig earth, throw water, burn fire. Now crackers during Diwali. Okay. There's so much of violence. So if you abstain from that, you are abstaining from sins. Move air and crush vegetables. These are some of the demerits, unnecessary sins that you indulge in. He also does not indulge in such other activities leading to unnecessary loss of life. So you see the awareness has increased so much. He is now taking care that if I speak something in a rude manner, the other people will get hurt. So I should be very polite in my talks. He abstains from violence of moving creatures and renounces purposeless violence of stationary being also. He does not take interest in activities such as attachments and aversions and keeps away from them. This is called abstinence from unnecessary demerits. So we all indulge in this kind of activity, and only by proper understanding of concept and getting rid of passions, you will also be able to control these unnecessary sins. Okay. So this was the 3 merit vows. Now coming up is the 4 training vows, training observance. Shiksha vrat. Shiksha kiske liye shiksha? To become a monk. So before a monk, there is a training being imparted in you, and this training is called the 4 training vows. The first one is meditation, then fasting, then limitation of objects of sensual pleasures and service of the sanity beings. So first 2, meditation and fasting. Madhuji, you read.
Yes, sir. Training observances. Meditation, fasting, limitation of objects of sensual pleasures, and service of the saintly beings are 4 training observances. 1. Meditation. To develop oneness with our soul, renouncing all attachments and aversions regarding all merits and demerits as equal, and thus developing soul force is meditation. The householder should quietly sit alone in loneliness for at least 48 minutes 3 times a day to observe this rule of conduct. 2. Fasting. To stay nearest own soul, to stay nearest to own soul, abandoning passions, subjects of senses, and food is a fast. on every 8th and 14th days of both the fortnights of the month, fasting without indulgence in outside activities of the householder or trade and commerce is a real fast. This has three grades. One, the super type, to take meals once at one sitting only on both days before and after the fasting day is a super type fast. Two, the medium type, to fast only on the day fixed is the medium type of fast. Three, the lowest type, to make meals once only on the day of the fast is the lowest type of fast. 3. Limitations of objects of sensual pleasures. Even within the limitations already imposed on possession of worldly objects to decrease the sensual involvement is the limitation of objects of sensual pleasures. The subjects of the five senses are of two kinds, those that are enjoyed once only and those that are enjoyed a number of times. 4. Service of the saintly beings, to offer a share of one's meals to monks and householders and to feed them with proper prescribed process is the service of the saintly beings. The householder, with real right faith, observing the 12 rules of conduct without any fault, follows those rules of conduct because without real right faith and consciousness, these rules cannot be really observed with internal real faith and right consciousness, and in the absence of passions which lead to infinite births, passions which hinder partial abstinence, and passions which disturb complete abstinence. The complete abstinence. The emergent purity of the soul naturally creates cravings for these rules of conduct in the householder. The meritorious feelings of the rules of conduct without the consciousness of the soul is not real observance of the rules of conduct.
Is practice of equanimity. You write it down. You cancel this meditation. It is not correct because meditation is dhyan. So this is Samaik, practice of equanimity. So although when you practice of equanimity in Samaik also you do dhyan. So that is a different thing, but you should not write meditation here. Okay, practice of equanimity. To develop oneness with our soul, renouncing all attachments and aversions, regarding all merits and demerits as equal. Okay, and thus developing soul force is meditation. So regarding all merits and demerits as equal, again you are referring to 7 fundamentals. Okay, so among the 7 fundamentals, you must have done this. What is worth knowing, what is worth taking shelter, what is worth manifesting, and what is worth renouncing. Gnei, Hey, Upade. Okay. So that same thing is applicable here, to regard merits and demerits as equal and thus developing soul force is meditation or practice of equanimity. The householder should quietly sit alone in loneliness for at least 48 minutes 3 times a day to observe this rule of conduct. Because he is a householder, every now and then his active consciousness goes into the sensory objects. Okay. So if he forms a habit of 48 minutes practice in 3 times a day, this practice of equanimity, then obviously he will go deep into his spiritual quest, and that is going to help him in calming down the passions. Okay. So this householder 3 times a day, 48 minutes max, right? So this is the rule of conduct of practice of equanimity, because he is
So,
not.
sorry,
Hmm.
sorry, sir. So I was asking, why is it 48 minutes? I mean, who came up? I've always
Uh,
wondered why it's not 1 hour or.
that is the time period that your sentiment changes from auspicious to inauspicious. Supposing if you are having an inauspicious sentiments, okay, it cannot go beyond 48 minutes. That is the maximum limit that it will come. Then in between, one auspicious thought will come. Then it might again happen, then again you go into the inauspicious one. But you cannot continuously attain more than 58 minutes under any kind of sentiments. Okay. So those keeps on changing automatically. Okay. If you are able to observe 48 minutes equanimity, okay, that means you will attain omniscience knowledge. That is the condition for omniscience knowledge. That if you are practicing equanimity, you are meditating without manifesting any kind of attachments or aversions, or in other words, you are manifesting passionlessness, detachment for 48 minutes, you will attain omniscience knowledge, keval gyan. Okay. So it is just a matter of only 48 minutes that you have to observe. You become an observer only. Okay. So that is thing. So 3 times a day. So that practice will take him more towards the spiritual development, moves towards the path of liberation, and he will gradually leave all the sins. Okay. And just because this is a practice for becoming a monk, so this is very, very important, because otherwise he will become monk, and what he will do whole day if he is not practicing this equanimity. So the monks doesn't have any other thing to do. They either are practicing equanimity, or they are into meditation, or they are writing scriptures, or giving lectures. Okay, like that. The second one is fasting. Okay. And in Hindi, it is called Proshodupvas Shikshavrat. Proshodupvas. So this practice of living like an ascetic. So you go to a religious place, stay there for 48 hours, 36 hours, or 24 hours. There are 3 levels. The super type are those who stay there for 48 hours and they take meals once. Okay. At one sitting only, both days, before and after the fasting day, is the super type fast. So net they are doing fasting of 48 hours. Today they will take a meal, okay, in the morning or say around 10 o'clock. Then they will not take anything the whole day. The next day is the complete fasting. Then the third day, they will take the meal only after 10 o'clock. So total 48 hours observation of fasting is done. This is the super type. The second is the medium type, where they will do fasting only on the day of fasting. So today evening up to 6, you have taken something. Okay. After 6, you are not taking anything. Next day, you are not taking anything. And the next day in the morning, you will take something after 6. Okay. So it is 36 hours fasting. And the last one is 24-hour fasting. Okay. So these are the 3 types. To stay nearest our own soul, abandoning passions. So to stay nearest our own soul, that is most important. The fasting is not related to the things that you are eating or not eating, but it is related how you are able to concentrate on your soul. Okay. That is the fruit of fasting. Now today you don't have to eat anything, so your time is being saved. Now what you will do? You meditate. Okay. Meditate and see, you observe that how your passions are getting mild and mild, and how thoughts are moving in your mind, and what kind of inclination you are observing. All these are chance for you to absorb what is happening in your life. You know, how much passions you are indulging in. These are all some of the observations that you do in fasting. So to stay nearest our own soul, that is the most important, and abandoning passions, that is kashai, subject of senses, sensual pleasures, vishay, kashai, vishay, and the third one is the ahar, food. Okay, so abandoning passions, sensory pleasures, and the food, these three, abandoning these three things is the real fast. And here the food comes at the third level. The first level is you abandon passion. The second is you abandon the sensual pleasures. Okay. And then the third one comes the food. But we take only food as a means of fasting. You know, not taking food is not fasting. But observing these three, abandoning passions, abandoning sensual pleasures, and then abandoning food. So these are three are from the negative side. On the positive side, to stay nearest own soul. Okay, that means to stay focused in yourself. On every 8th and 14th day of both the fourth night of the month, fasting without indulgence in outside activities of the householder or trade and commerce is real fast. Okay? So 8th and 14th, most of people observe, we don't eat green vegetables on that day. Green vegetables and fruits are also under that category. Okay. So that we don't on 8th and on the 4th, 14th and the 8th of every month. Ashtami and Chaturdashi. Okay. So Ashtami also comes twice a month and Chaturdashi also comes twice a month. So 4 days a month you are observing this. Okay. Fasting. So there are three types that we have already discussed. Now the third one, limitation of object of sensual pleasures. The actual word would be limitation on use of objects of one time, multiple use. Okay. Either it is one time or multiple use. So you are limiting the use of object. Bhog, upbhog, pariman, vrat. Okay. Bhog, upbhog. Bhog means one time consumption. Upbhog means you consume again and again, like pen. Now you use this pen again and again. So it is called upbhog or multiple use. And if you eat a rasgulla, it is a one-time consumption. You eat it and it is finished. So that is called bhog. Even within the limitation already imposed on possession of worldly objects, to decrease the sensual involvement is the limitation of objects of sensual pleasures. The subjects of the five senses are of two kinds. Those that are enjoyed once only, called bhog, and those that are enjoyed a number of times, multiple times, is upbhog. Number 4, service of the saintly beings. Service of ascetics. Atithi samvibhag vrat. Okay. To offer a share of one's meal. Means your portion of meal, from that you share a part to the ascetics. That is the observance, one of the observance was of service of ascetics. Atithi. A matlab nahi, tithi matlab fixed rate. So there is no fixed date when the monks will come to your place. But you are ready every day, you know. In fact, the Shravak, at 10 o'clock in the morning is the time for the monks to have their meal. And they go to the town to take the meals. Okay. They usually stay in the jungle, which is on the outskirts of town. Okay. But while for taking meal, they go to the town and go to any random place of a householder. And if he gets the observations, if he gets the observations, if he gets the things according to his plan, then only he accepts the food. Otherwise, he doesn't accept. Okay. So to offer a share of one's meal to monks, okay, either monks or to the householder, the Shravak, fifth stage. Either sixth, seventh stage, the monks is at the sixth, seventh stage, and the householder is at the fifth stage. Okay. To offer a share of one's meal to monks and householders and to feed them with proper prescribed process is the service of the saintly beings. Okay. With proper prescribed process. So they have a process and you have to follow that process to offer food to the monks and the householders. If you do any mistakes anywhere, they will just go away, leaving the food halfway. Okay. And that is called antarai. Okay. So you should be very careful and learn this processes, then only you can share food to the monk and the householder. The householder with real right faith, okay, observing the 12 rules of conduct without any fault, no blemishes, no mistakes, follows those rules of conduct because without real right faith and consciousness, these rules cannot be really observed. Okay. If you want to do without any fault, then you have to first develop the right faith and consciousness. Okay. With internal real faith and right consciousness and in the absence of passions, which lead to infinite births, passions which hinder partial abstinence, and passions which disturb complete abstinence. So these are the levels of passions that he has been talking about. I already told you, I have shared a clip also regarding the 4 levels of passions. Okay. So now this householder, he has completely got rid of the first 2 levels of passions. Okay. And because of that, he is observing these 12 rules, conduct rules. Okay. Because without right, faith, and consciousness, these rules cannot be really observed. Okay. With internal real faith and right consciousness and in the absence of passions. Okay. So 2 levels of passions should go away. Then only he can observe this in real terms, which lead to infinite births. Okay. So the Anantanubandhi Kashai, it leads to infinite births. Passions which hinder partial observance. That is the second level. Partial woe preventing passion. And passions which disturb complete disturbance. Okay. So that is the 4th one. Perfect conduct disturbing passion. The emergent purity of the soul, the emergent purity of the soul naturally creates cravings for these rules of conduct. So your internal purity is automatically bringing in this kind of cravings in you where you are ready to observe these rules of conduct as a householder. Okay. The meritorious feeling of the rules of conduct without the consciousness of the soul, without awareness, without the right faith, is not real observance of the rules of conduct. So first you should manifest right faith, then you should get rid of the second level of passions, and that is the place, that is the situation where you are able to observe these 12 conduct rules properly without any mistakes. Okay, without any fault. Okay. So this is all about the 12 conduct rules of a spiritually minded householder. So now 2 chapters are left. One is the chapter number 9, the great festival of 10 virtues, and chapter number 8, real and conventional perspective. Okay. So first we will do real and conventional perspective, and then we will do Great Festival of 10 Virtues next Saturday. And I think that will be the last day of our course in this semester. Okay, we'll be completing the syllabus. I have given you one homework today, LCPA, Life Changing Practical Application, wherein you are supposed to answer 3 questions that has been set by the central team for all the batches of 2024 batches. And I have translated into English. It's the question paper was in Hindi, but I have given the Hindi version also, because if you don't understand the English one, you just see the Hindi version also to get a better idea what to give the answer. Okay. And you are supposed to write this and submit on Moodle app. Okay. And simultaneously, you can also uh, do a voice message recording and send in the, not send in the group right now, but send to me personally. And when everyone completes, we will sharing it in the group so that each one knows what others have given answers and learn from it. Idea is to learn from it. Okay. So ideally you should write, and after writing, you should do a voice message, send me personally. And at a particular day, we will be using the group all together, and that will be after the last date of this. Okay. So last date is 5th of July, and that is the date your objectives will start. Okay. So you will have a window open for 10 days. So you can appear these objectives any of the 10 days, and you should have 5 hours time. With a maximum time given to you is 5 hours, but usually student completes this objective within 1 hour and 1.5 hour at max. Okay. It's an open book exam. So the objectives you should answer by looking at the textbooks. Okay. Without looking, if you answer, there are chances that you will do silly mistakes because the questions are tricky. Okay. So you should not get overconfidence. Even you know the answer, you check it in the book. Okay. One of my students in 2019 batch, he attempted this objective exam for the first time, and he completed that in 15 minutes, only 15 minutes. I said, how you do it? Well, I never opened the book. I answered all from my knowledge. Although he didn't get very good marks, but he was like that. So ideally, this is for our learning only. So we should check with the text. In that manner, you will also open the text and see that concept. And there are chances that you might commit silly mistakes by not checking with the textbook. So you should always check with the textbook before answering. Okay. So that is about the objectives. So now your concept clarity paper 2, concept clarity paper 3, who and I, that you must already have started. And today's LCPA, wherein 3 questions are given, one each from each paper 1, paper 2, and paper 3. Okay. If you have any problem in understanding the questions, you can ask me, and I will guide you personally. Okay. Not in the class, but personally, those who have a problem in understanding the question, they can discuss with me. Anything
So I
else?
have a question.
Yeah.
So with regards to this training observances, we said that it is only for monks, right?
Pardon? No. The Arjika, the woman monk, those are in the 5th stage of spiritual development, and they also observe this kind of things. They don't get beyond 5th, okay, being a woman, but they still attend the 5th stage, and they do observe these 12 rules of conduct.
So it's for householders and the women monks.
So householder are all, these women monks are also householder, and this Sravak are also householders. Okay. But there are uh, these are woe holders, but there is something called Pratima, 11 Pratima. That is after this 12, you have observed these 12 woes, Then there is Pratima. These are 11 types. Those are very deeper than this, okay? And that is more at an advanced stage in the fifth stage. Okay. So initially in the fifth stage, you do this 12 vows first, okay? Then with further practice, going further deep into the meditation of soul, you manifest that level of passionlessness or detachment, okay? And with that level, you observe these 11 pratimas. So that we will be studying in Tattvagyan part 1. Okay. So that is higher than this. Okay. So this is the initial observance that we do at the fifth stage. Okay. And that is something we do at the fifth stage only, but at a higher level. So
I had one question.
yeah.
Sorry. So, if the women monks or the archikas are also equal to the householders, why do women take diksha?
Diksha means why
Yeah,
they
why
become
do
an
they?
Adhika? Why they become a
More than
for
Yeah.
better, for more sadhana, going deeper into the self. You know, as a householder, you have so much of responsibilities, you know. But if you become a she monk, you will not be remaining at home. You will be joining that congregation of monks, you know. And there are, of course, rules and regulations for that. But that is a way that you will be in touch always with the monks and you will be listening to their lectures. And if you have any questions, you can ask them also. So you will be in a better position to uh, practice descriptive knowledge and gain knowledge also. So in every congregation, there are few monks and there are few arjikas also there. Then there are few ladies who are going to be arjikas, but they are under training period. So they also go along with those arjikas for a long, long period, you know, 3 months, 4 months like that. And they initially see that whether they are able to stay in the congregation and observe the rules of conduct. Okay. So that's a practice. Similarly, there are brahmachari males also who are also uh, uh, doing it's a kind of internship that they are doing of becoming a householder, you know, that Vrati Shravak, not Vrati Shravak, but Elak and Shulak. In the male, Elak and Shulak are the highest stages. Okay. And both have left the home. They have renounced the home also. So those are actually uh, they are the real contender of becoming a monk. You know, they are almost like a monk. So that we will study when we study about 11 Pratima in the next sem in Tattvagyan part 1. Okay. So this to
I have
if
a quick question
yeah, ask.
regarding the exams. You're saying in July.
Yeah.
I know they're like split into three, like from
Right.
the 4th to the 14th, and then again 14th to this. Is there some way like you can tell us what we're supposed to study the first part, like which books for the first part, second part, or third part, or any, or they all
So
questions on everything?
Vitrag Vigyan. So in the syllabus it is given Vitrag Vigyan and then you have something in self-study.
Oh, okay.
What you have in self-study? Jia, you know?
So I'm not sure actually.
So
So
one
There
is,
is a
can
I
I
will
say,
share the
sir?
syllabus. I will share the syllabus.
Uh,
I think
yeah.
Namokar
One
Mantra.
is Namokar Mantra and Shahakari, I think. Is it that?
So these are some uh, self-study books. These are some of the self-studies books. So those also, the questions will also come from that in the objectives. Okay. So,
Uh-huh.
And what about, sir,
so
what about
Vitrag
Bhagavad 1?
1, 2, 3 is not in the part of syllabus. Balbodh 1, 2, 3 is not part of syllabus. But Vitrag
Acha,
1, Vitrag Vigyan 2, Vitrag Vigyan 3 are the three
right?
major papers. Along with that, there is self-study that also you have to study. Okay. And from both these books, the question will come. The majority of the questions will come from Vitrag Vigyan 1, 2, 3. But some marks will also be there from the self-study books.
So that is Namokar mantra, and one was which book?
Sakahar and
Sakyarin. Yes, yes.
I think there is one more of, I don't know. I think Vitrag Vigyan 3 doesn't have self-study, but Vitrag Vigyan 1 and 2 have self-study books with that also. I'll share the syllabus today, no problem.
Yeah, can you please, let us know what to study for those exams or,
Yes, yes. Paper, so it is very simple. Paper 1 is Vitrag Vigyan 1, paper 2 is Vitrag Vigyan 2, and paper 3 is Vitrag Vigyan 3, along with self-study with respective self-studies. Okay.
Okay.
Sir, can we have one or two earlier question papers just to see how the question paper will be for us? Earlier question paper, one or two.
I will try to have one. There was there available one for practice, but I don't know if it is, I will be able to find it or not, but I will ask the management. It was made on the Balbodh. The questions were on Balbodh, which is not a part of your syllabus. So for practice purpose, you can see that. So the first 24 marks will be MCQ question, 4 marks each. Multiple choice question, 4 marks each, 6 questions. So 24 marks for that. Then you have 10 marks for fill in the blanks. Then you have 6 marks for match the following. And then you have 10 marks for true and false. That's all.
Oh, okay.
So 50 marks, all very objectives. And as I said, one student complete in 15 minutes. But if you still look at the books and confirm the answers, then also you will not take more than 1 hour. So never mind it. And actual exam would be how you understand this concept and apply in your day-to-day life and make your life happy. That is the real test. But having said that, these objective exams offer a scope to check how much you have understood and what is the level of your understanding.
So when you're giving this whole 5th July to 14th July, it'll be online and we can take it whenever we want, is it?
Yeah, whenever you want. But once you start the paper, then you have to submit at one stroke only. You cannot leave it in between. If you leave in between, it will be considered as submitted, and whatever you attended, you will get marks. That's all.
Yeah.
So you see that you have best like at least 2-3 hours with you when you give the exam. So you don't get disturbed in between, and you switch off the phone and fully concentrate it, you give the exam. Otherwise, you will make silly mistakes because there are tricks everywhere and there. Like they will say, Adinath, आदिनाथ मुनिराज को कितनी पत्नियां थी? You know, how many wives did this monk Adinath had? So monk Adinath.
Nanda and Sunanda. Yeah.
No, this is wrong. So he's a monk now. How can he have wives?
Acha, right. Earlier.
He had wife only when he was king. So if they ask how many wives do King Adinath have, then your answer was correct. But they will ask like that, how many wives does monk Adinath have? So you have to carefully observe the questions. That's why I said don't get overconfident. You check with the scriptures, you check with the scripts, textbooks, and then only you answer. Otherwise, you will make silly mistake for sure. Even the most intelligent toppers also make silly mistakes. So it is not something, but never mind even if you make a silly mistakes, it doesn't matter whether you get 48 or 45 or 30, doesn't matter. What matters is how you are able to comprehend these concepts and apply in your day-to-day life and enjoy those moments. That is important. Okay. So we end for the day. Our time is also over.
Thank you.
निज
Thank you, sir.
निज में बताई यह अनंत उपकार है, उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना 7 बार है, उसके लिए जिन वाणी माँ को वंदना 7 बार है। 9 बार नौकर में